Hi everyone, in this video we are going to be creating the category filter. That's going to involve doing some work on the controller end, the MVC portion, so in essence enhancing the ASP.NET Core MVC application. Next we'll be receiving the category data in the Angular data repository, and finally updating the filter component and template. When we are done, we'll end up with having a visual like this with the categories on the left hand side that you can filter by. Now, in order to implement our category filter, we're going to need to do a little work on the MVC side. Not much actually, but just a little change in the movie controller. So let's hop on over to our movie controller. And we're going to navigate to Get Movies method. And we're going to make a couple of changes. One, we'll add in a parameter called metadata, which is going to be a Boolean. And we're going to change this IEnumerable to IActionResult. Next, we're going to modify the return statements with return metadata. And in order to create metadata, we're going to want a method to handle that work, which I'll put right below here to easily see. And in this method here, create metadata, the data property is set to the sequence of movie objects that the client has requested, and the categories property is set using a LINQ query that produces an ordered set of distinct category names. Now the next thing is to receive category data in the Angular data repository. So to allow the Angular application to receive category data, we need to make some changes in the repository. So let's hop on over there. And I'm going to navigate to our Get Movies method. And the changes I will make will replace these last two lines on 31 and 32. So now what I'm doing is that over here, we're receiving a new set of categories every time the application refreshes its movie data by calling the Get Movies method. And this ensures that any changes to the data stored in the database will be reflected in the client. Now the complaint over here is just because we didn't define categories yet. So I'm going to jump down to where we have our properties and just add categories as an array. So now all that remains is that we need to present the user with a list of categories and use their selection to filter the list of movies. So the first step is to update the component class so that it defines properties that expose the list of categories and the currently selected category as a method that will change the category selection. So what we're going to do is go to our category filter, and we are going to expose the data in the category filter by going under our constructor and adding a get categories, get current category, and set current category. Two properties and a method. Now to use these, we're going to want to replace the content in the template category filter component. And by the way, I want to point out when we're choosing these files, make sure you're choosing the right files because there are some files that have duplicate names. We want the category filter components in the store, not the folder structure, which we did earlier. And within here, I will replace the content with this HTML. And what we're doing here is first printing out a button that has all categories and then creating a series of buttons based on the number of categories we have in our collection. And that's done on line 5, where we iterate through categories. And for each one, we create a button with a click event. So now let's go ahead and run to see what our results are. And there we go with our categories. Now to make sure that it filters, I'll click on comedy. And we are showing just the comedies. Drama, looks good. Romance, excellent. And lastly, to show everything, looks to be working as we expect. Coming up next, creating the paging controls.